Welcome, Rabbi Jonathan Wittenberg. It's wonderful to welcome you today. We are in the rundown and run up to Rosh Hashanah, the new year, in the month of Elul. And today we're talking about Teshuva. Tell us just a word about yourself and who you are.
Thank you, Rabbi Oliver. It's great to be with you. So, I'm Jonathan. I'm the senior rabbi of the New North London Synagogue and of Masorti Judaism. About my day, I've been very preoccupied with what's happening in Afghanistan and writing about it and pleading with the community to help as much as we can with refugees.
Hmm. Thank you. It's wonderful to be with us and welcome you for this teaching. Tell us, what is Teshuva?
That's a great and seasonal and important question. So, the word literally means return from the root shuv, to come back, and it probably began physically with the return to the land of Israel after the exile under the Babylonians and then under the Romans. But it quickly became an inner journey, a journey of conscience back to the person we could be. And I think there are two dimensions to it which are really important at this time. It's usually used to mean repentance or return from sin. When we think at this difficult time of the year of the person we have been and the person we could be, which is very much influenced by a COVID year, which has both limited us and also in many ways made us more introspective. So, what have I done wrong? Whom have I hurt? Have I said things that have really caused people pain? And then teshuva is this process of acknowledgement in the heart, trying to make good and make reparation, and expressing and articulating the fact, I've done wrong here. I've hurt people, which is hard to do. But I want to draw attention to another dimension of teshuva, which is not really just about sin and wrongdoing. It's the fact that life is challenging and difficult. And the understanding here is that we are at heart good, and we come from a place that's good. And this is our desire in the arc of our life to be the best person that we can be, to reach upwards altruistically and idealistically, to fulfill the dreams that we might have. That's the sense of tshuva as a journey, in spiritual terms, as a journey back to God. You're muted, Oliver.
And then why specifically are we doing tshuva now during these times? So we have this month of Elul, which we're now in, and then we have these 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Why tshuva during these days, specifically the New Year and the big fast day?
Well, Maimonides says that teshuva, repentance, is effective at any time. And probably the best time to regret things we've done wrong is as soon afterwards as possible, because hurts often grow, and we know that it can be much more difficult to pick up the phone a month later than it is a day later. But it's a collective time of shared consciousness, of wanting to do what's good and acknowledging what we've done that's wrong. And that gives it an intensity, and that's focused on very much in the liturgy of both Rosh Hashanah and particularly Yom Kippur. And Yom Kippur contains the 9 times repeated liturgy of the Al Chet, for the sins that we have sinned before you, O God. And I think that's a very significant, it's partly a starting place, but it's also a kind of prompt. These are categories for what I've done with a hard heart, for the things I've said wrong with my mouth, for ways I've been arrogant, for things I wasn't even aware of at the time, but since then they've stuck in my conscience. And I think sort of spending time with them and thinking, yeah, in this area I did say these things, and perhaps I haven't realized how hurtful they were. And it's a starting point for making reconnection with people we might not have been towards the people we would have liked to be.
Mm.
The other starting point is, I think it's a season that arouses remorse. And you've probably all known that, waking up in the night, or that horrible feeling, yes, I did do it. I'm trying to tell myself the story differently, but being honest with myself, I did give hurt. And so it's the start of a journey of reparation.
Mm. I like that image of trying to be the best person, the best Oliver that I can be in the year ahead. And I guess one of the questions that comes from that is what are the baby steps? You mentioned the prayer or the list of sins of al chet. What are the baby steps that we might take towards finding our way in tshuva at this time of year? It seems like a supportive and a communal experience, but it also sounds like a very personal experience to go on that journey.
It is, at heart, I think it is a very personal experience. And I think we need to look up and we need to look down. The looking down is into ourselves and trying to be honest, and that's what the high holidays have at their heart, being honest with ourselves. I often think of the line by Alexander Pope, which calls conscience the God within the mind. And we come before God when we come before our conscience, and just listening to it is really important. But the looking up is also about, who do I want to be? What kind of world do I want to live in? It involves things like social justice, and this year with COP, right after the high holidays, environmental justice, the most important thing on our planet. So the looking up tells us, well, where am I? And where should I be? And what's the gap between them? And what is, you mentioned baby steps. Very few of us can take big steps. What are the small steps that I could take to get from where I am and where my society and my world is to where I and my world need to be?
Rabbi Jonathan, it's been wonderful to learn from you today. The wish you and your community and everyone around you a happy and sweet new year. The last word is with you.
Thank you, and I wish you, Shana Tova, a sweet and good year. And I just hope for all of us it'll be a good year in the sense that we can travel towards the best in ourselves and the best in the world around us.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.